And it seems that we are live then. I see there's a little bit of a delay on my side, but hope all good. You guys hear me well? Just somebody to confirm. And I will then slowly check actually that we are live. Okay, it's live streaming on LinkedIn as planned. So that's good. Actually, I see us. Oops. Happy clappy there. So we can kick it off. So to actually then open it up. So thank you everyone and welcome and thank you for joining us for the SwissAssetDAO community call. We're going to address or discuss the work stream around the community building with a specific topic in mind around fundraising. And I'm extremely excited first because today on the call we as well have Brad and Mike, and it's going to great to have more support on this call. Likewise, inviting everyone else as well who is listening to us. If you want to join the call, I have provided a link, or you can just click the button and kind of then you will join our stream, which is a studio to do live streams, and then we will bring you on board live. So really happy to do that, and also exciting today because we have a now updated version or a new draft of the white paper, which I'm extremely excited about, and kind of a draft version of the deck, kind of that follows that white paper, and looking forward to kind of give an update around that, and super excited. So welcome everyone, welcome Mike and Brad, and happy to pass the word to you guys, and then we can kind of kick it off and provide a bit of update, kind of what's been happening at SwissAssetDAO.
Brad, should I go first? Yeah, well, welcome everybody as well. Glad to be on the call today. It has been a brutal week, but in a good way, I believe. There's been a lot exciting promotion for our case. I think we get a lot of support. We got a lot of response feedback for this course, and especially also interest from existing and new potential founding members, which is almost overwhelming. So I think as a community here, we're onto something, and that of course motivates all of us to work even harder and deliver, and together build the best DAO we can. So welcome again, and I'll pass on to Brett.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Happy to be here. And I'm really, really excited to see how much interest this is generating. I think the community is going to grow really quickly. One of the things I'm kind of keen to do is just check out like all the different types of resources we have amongst us. And, we'll hear about these work streams and on all the small detail stuff that has to go into this. But it looks like the crowd is here formed. And there's a lot of quality talent around, and it's going to be really cool to see how we all come together and collaborate on this. I think the relevance and the uptick in how much interest there is around, really actually using the DAO and the proper legal framework for it. It's so relevant right now that this visionary project is definitely going to pave some way for a lot of people. So right on, let's jump into it.
Thanks a lot, guys, and thanks a lot, Mike and Brad. And maybe, Brad, can I kindly ask you if you can introduce yourself to? I mean, we know each other, but maybe you want for the audience who is listening, can you share a little bit more about yourself? I think that would be really lovely and awesome for the whole community. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. Sorry, I probably should have done a little bit better job at that at first. But I'm Brad Holland. I'm the CEO of Five Goats. We're a Web3 marketing and growth firm. And one of the things that, my backstory here, especially in RWA, is that we had started a project that was going to tokenize assets years ago. And it turned out that the project didn't really build anything. And it kind of like just, turned into a crypto story. But we didn't give up on the narrative, right? We began really looking in the narrative of who's doing what and what this means for us as investors and Web3 community members. So we've been publishing data. We've been interviewing many CEOs in the space, just talking about what's being built, who's actually got some innovation being released and changing markets and creating financial instruments. And so we've been really networking hard and positioning ourselves to just build relationships with the people that are really, really doing some critical work and moving things forward. So as marketers and communicators, what we're looking to do here is really help flesh out the story, be a part of the SwissAssetDAO, and help build a community and add value where we can. So I'm really stoked to be here. Thanks to you again. You guys can check out our podcast, and Michael's been on it. Anton, you're coming on it sometime. So yeah, check out the videos, see what we're talking about, and yeah, just be on top of what's really happening out there. And thanks for being real builders, guys.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Brad. And once again, thank you for your support, and really looking forward to that, also nice talk and discussion we might have in the near future, and really appreciate, for your support as a strong community member. I really highly appreciate it. Yeah.
You got it.
And maybe on my side, before we kick it off, want to reflect something that Mike has said. So kind of the feedback we have received for SwissAssetDAO in this week, as you Mike flagged, it was a strong week. I think you used the word brutal. I'm happy to piggyback on that, a brutal week, but a very positive week, I can say from, my discussions and I was also a participant at the Web3 Fest here in Switzerland. So a conference organized together by Crypto Oasis and Crypto Valley, and very, very good feedback. And also, on this occasion, I would like to thank the organizers there who actually gave me the opportunity to present SwissAssetDAO for the first time ever, in a more public setting. And I was really glad because I managed to beat Mike, because Mike was presenting at Token 2049, and it was an informal race. I was going to do it first, and Ralph Glabishnik from Crypto Oasis and Crypto Valley gave me the chance to do that. So, really, but, on a friendly basis, but very positive. And I just want to say that I experienced a very positive aura around SwissAssetDAO. First, a lot of feedback that there's a need for a solution how to set up DAOs legally. So this is really a clear need that we have identified through my discussions, but really a big understanding that the real action will happen in the domain of real world assets. So something that, SwissAssetDAO is very keen on addressing, and how do we bring those real world asset investment opportunities, in particular to treasuries of the DAOs as key stakeholders in the crypto ecosystem. And I feel that we are in a good position. The timing is good, but now the hard work starts. And in that light, to open up the topic, that today we released an updated draft version of the white paper. We're addressing a bit more how we plan to execute on our promise of bringing real world asset investment opportunities to the DAO ecosystem. And I think we also shared a bit of magic sauce there, to say it like that. And maybe with that, I can pass the word to Mike, who was the key stakeholder and key driver behind that magic sauce. Maybe we can at high level explain it a little bit, but not revealing too much of it, but which will be the key unique selling proposition and the key edge of SwissAssetDAO in the coming times. So this is how I like to open up the discussion. You guys are fine with that?
Well, okay, thanks, Anton. And first, I think a caveat, you always have to look at these white papers or these new releases as drafts. This is by no means a final form. Again, this is a community project. I'm more of the opinion, and Anton and I think every one of the founders, we're looking for feedback to make this better and stronger and working for everyone. So there's more to do. This is just, I think, the latest release, where there have been some more thoughts going in how to actually these bridges, how to make them work between the real world and the digital asset world. And I think we found some interesting ways which are workable, which are especially workable in the legal frameworks, in the laws of Switzerland. And that can then even digitize into the realms of the digital asset world. I clearly say digitize rather than tokenize. And maybe a bit more of that is we can talk about in our legal workstream next week, where we can dissect and dive into details of this. But it's really important also to see when we craft a tokenomics that we think of tokenomics something that would also work without any technology. Why I'm a strong believer in this? Because if it's actually really working in the real world without technology, you could pretty much do it with paper or phone calls or what you want to call it, and you create real value, then your tokenomics or that economics is also going to be very sustainable over time. That also means then what you do in the real world is entirely legal, which is absolutely critical, and you transport or lift that into the realm of digital assets. You completely comply by definition, and you are, you just make things more efficiently and technologically elegant, I suppose. So this is one principle that has flown into this white paper release. Another one maybe just on maybe magic sauce if you want. It's not so magic, but I believe it's really critical to make this work again, especially at the conference and many side events that are happening in Singapore. A lot of projects think along the same lines, but I think we also have a bit of an edge because we really start in with the laws, make our DAO workable and compliant in and within the laws. So that helps us then to set that up from the start in the design in, would say, the most efficient way within the laws, of course, completely legal, but efficient. And that then, again, lift that up into technology. So I'm keen to share more, I guess, again, on the call next week. And what you also find here is, I think, what Anton has provided throughout the week, a bit more info about what the membership will entail. So as we now onboard founding members, and after that, hopefully also paid members, as soon as we also have legal entities to join, then, on what basis would anybody join this association? I think we really try to think hard, and we need to think further and continue to think hard what would be the benefits and incentives for members, and how do we actually, we cannot just give out goodies from nothing, from thin air. So how do we actually create the value that we can pass on to the community? But here I quickly stop, and please have a read, please engage, please give feedback. There is so much more to do, but I think it's starting to shape in a direction that is going to be sustainable.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Mike. Really appreciate it. And I invite everyone to go and take a look at the updated draft white paper and provide feedback. So there's some more direction that is given now, how this will evolve. But really critical now is to get feedback from the community, from the experts, from the members, and kind of drive this forwards. And maybe in that light, Brad, as an expert on the real world asset side, how do you see the key challenges like that the ecosystem is facing, and where we can, where you see as a community member, a founding community member, fill that gap and close those needs? So just to hear your thoughts a little bit, I think to open up the discussion a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the biggest pain we're all feeling now is that it's so new and there's no North Star. There's no someone's done it perfect, so that someone has to step up and be that for everybody, right? I think that's part of the vision here, is to show how DAOs can be implemented, how the DLT can be integrated into an association, and how you get going and legally investing in these assets. The assets need to come on chain. They need to be clarified as far as what regulations and stuff like that. And then they need to perform. And so a lot of this is still kind of like held up if we're sitting on security tokens, but we can't distribute those. That's a pain for for issuers right now. But once this opens up, and we are able to own and trade and freely be able to invest in real world assets in a digital form, I think this is where the clarification and the framework is being laid here is going to be a funnel, so that you can confidently and quickly engage and be investing and owning real world assets in this regard but in a safe and legal compliant way. There's quite a lot that has to get built still. There's no exchanges for this yet. Privately holding these assets is one thing, but how does an investor exit? Liquidity. So there's quite a lot that has to get evolved and moved forward. But I think that what we can do as far as like at this level and where the controls that we have is being able to set ourselves up for being active and legally compliant, which I think is the most attractive piece here. It's one thing to just ape into projects and be holding something, but if it's not really well thought out and have legal basis, then you're operating in gray waters. So I think that for people that are really serious about this, the DAO and all the work that's being put into this right now is really critically important for us.
Thanks a lot, Brett, and really want to echo your extremely wise words. Is that the feedback that I have gotten over the last week, speaking to a lot of pioneers in the RWA space in Switzerland, is kind of the distribution in a legal and regulated manner is key to get liquidity. And a lot of people have struggled so far there. And I think a lot of people are seeking for that liquidity in the wrong places. Let's say it like that. But we need to focus on getting that distribution. This will be really key goal for SwissAssetDAO, and something I'm very passionate to work together with the team on that. And it's kind of part of our go-to-market strategy, to say it like that. Yeah. And maybe before we continue further, I actually noticed we have a question. There's in the LinkedIn chat. Preeti mentioned that we need strong smart contracts in a hybrid format. Maybe I can try to interpret that question or that statement. It's kind of that we are bridging the real world and the on-chain world, both in a sense of governance for us as SwissAssetDAO, as a Swiss association. So in a sense, we have the very strong legal framework. We're a Swiss association, very clearly defined with the statute, article association, bylaws, and the members who decide how this will be governed, and very clear framework on what particular topics the members can decide or should decide or even can vote on. But I think we need to kind of bring that also a bit on chain or utilize the technology within the smart contracts, kind of how the members of SwissAssetDAO who have the technical expertise kind of to do that they can vote through, their wallet, or if at one point ever there's a token, or they do it through smart contracts. So I think that's main topic as well, is that it's extremely important to bring real world assets on chain. And that happens actually in the end through smart contracts. I mean, the simplest form of a smart contract is actually a token. So we need to find the right way, kind of how to bridge the real world and on-chain world, even when it comes to real world assets. So this is maybe my short statement around that, and then we continue. But guys, if you want to add something on that, would be highly appreciated how you see it.
Yeah, I think that moving the assets on chain is one thing. It's more of what do you do with it once it is tokenized, right? This is where, tokenizing something I think is relatively easy. Using it, distributing it, that's where the complexities lie and the unknown is, right? So I think it's going to come down to, the very best way that we can digitize an asset and give people access to it. But like I said, this is a North Star that has to be created, and that's going to be done through a group of pioneers just like this.
And I can echo that. I've also talked to a couple of RWA projects now in Singapore, and this is the common pain point. Even there are some RWA focused exchanges and they struggle with liquidity distribution. But I also believe tokenization generally has always been supply driven, right? That we want to tokenize something, but we have never or hardly ever listened to the demand side. Say what do, I would say, DAOs, people, crypto wealth actually want to invest into in the real world space. And I think that thinking came into even our white paper in the form that we can provide access to real world assets on demand, on the fly. So by doing that, we actually solve the distribution problem, because we only build something that is requested or where's demand. So I remember the most famous case, and then Anton has reiterated that also a couple of times. MakerDAO putting out a proposal and say, hey, we want to invest X billion dollars into treasuries and US Treasury bills. And then people are trying to figure out a bridge from that demand to supply actually those Treasury bills. It was not the other way around. But by doing so, you have instant demand and you actually don't have the distribution problem. And by really focusing on that demand side, we can maybe mitigate some of those pain points of tokenization, token distribution itself.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. And just to mention that Jamie also made a comment as well. I don't know if you see it on LinkedIn, in a sense of flaws that the hybrid model can have. Yeah. But I think, this is something that I need to speak more to Jamie to address. But thanks for him to mentioning, there are, I know about Maple Finance, which is basically, uncollateralized lending platform, kind of quite successful in the glory days last year. I think now repivoting more toward the RWA side, yeah. But definitely something we need to address. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Yeah. Maybe what I can propose now that the white paper has been shared with the community in the Telegram chat, and we will share it as well through other means, the updated draft version of the white paper. But maybe we can briefly go throughout the deck, which is still in its draft form, but maybe we can kind of flag certain things. Guys, if you're up for that, I can share it on the screen and kind of run through the pages, and then we do it in a few minutes, actually, just to kind of flag where we need help and support from the community and the feedback for the things we have done. And in that light, I will try to share it. And guys, you need to tell me if you see it, or somebody just say, yes, we see it. Not yet, yeah. Oh, wait, now you will see it. Yeah. Okay, now you see it, yeah. Awesome. So let me just run through the deck, and just to explain the context and the format. So really the idea is to, in this phase, to have a 10-pager, so kind of a minimal viable MVP minus status of a deck that kind of addresses the key challenges or key goals of SwissAssetDAO. And kind of what I'm really kind of starting from is first the opportunity and the problem. These are kind of the things that we have discussed recently. I want to kind of flag three things, how I'm trying to position it, or we as a team are trying to position it, and need your feedback on. Is first the legal framework that the DAOs need to make any kind of decisions and be a counterparty with the real world entities. The second point is actually to collapse of the crypto shadow banks, but perhaps also of the DeFi yields as a way of generating certain returns, but kind of understanding now that was unsustainable, or I can't even wrote here outright scams. And then kind of a key next goal for the DAO community is actually looking for those sustainable long-term attractive yields. Yeah. So this is kind of how I have phrased the problem, but obviously every problem is an opportunity, so I provide it in that context. Yeah. And then kind of a clear value proposition here, which you can kind of tell me your feedback if you agree or don't agree with. Actually, that SwissAssetDAO is on its way to build a Web3 platform, securitization platform, kind of through which that DAO ecosystem can access those sustainable real-world asset investments. Yeah. And then kind of moving through that is that the magic sauce that kind of we very briefly spoke about, which is in detail described in the white paper, now in greater detail described in the white paper. But this is something that Mike, within the legal framework, within the legal community call, has been highly worked on. And kind of what this picture illustrates is that DAOs can access those cells coming from the special purpose vehicle that kind of gives you that access to real world assets. Or if the DAOs themselves would not operate and invest directly into those SPVs, that they kind of do it through SwissAssetDAO. So this is kind of when SwissAssetDAO acts as this SPV. And here I'm kind of like speculating. This is something what we need to discuss further, kind of how we actually SwissDAO, makes money or makes revenue, be that a commission-based flat monthly fees or advisory fees, and obviously within the different context of how we offer our services. And then kind of I think very important is, the go-to-market plan, which at the moment it's like to be done. That's why I put this very nice picture that Mike has created at one point. Which we kind of need to address. How do we resolve this regulation challenge? How we bring real world assets to DAOs in a regulated and legal way and efficient way, but also how we solve the distribution and the liquidity channel. I think it's something very important that we can also discuss very briefly within this call. But we need feedback from like who are we competing with, and kind of why we are at the right time to offer our services now. I kind of thought here that actually crypto native banks could be part of our competition because actually they executed some of those demand-driven deals that Mike was mentioning, and that for which we know that they charge an arm and a leg. But maybe this is something we can reflect on, like who is out there and who is maybe competing with us. I wrote here RWA issuers, but I don't think it's the issuers themselves. It's maybe platforms that could be our competitive our competition. Finally, the core team, I boldly put Mike and myself here, but we need to kind of engage more from the community to hear, people kind of stepping up a bit and voicing their need and drive to be part of the core team and address the key goals of SwissAssetDAO. And then finally, together with Eugene, I'm working on a financial planning that kind of obviously needs to incorporate the business model, which I kind of flip back very quickly, that we kind of understand how much money we need and how to make this sustainable. So I will kind of stop here. I just wanted to run the community through the deck and maybe pass the word to Mike and Brad, but just really wanted to high level, kind of describe it where we are and what we need to kind of key things that we need to achieve. Obviously, a lot of more is written in the draft white paper than what I presented in the deck, but this is kind of like the MVP minus 10-pager deck that we need to produce to kind of go out and get some grants or raise some money. So with this, I will pause a little bit and maybe pass the word to you guys.
Yeah, I think that the very first thing that we're talking about here, like the legal framework side, now a DAO's not considered a legal entity, but we're attaching a legal entity to a DAO so that it can be, the DAO part can be like the management and all digital smart contract based operation. So when that is, how far away is that from being like complete? Because that will definitely flesh out one of the steps, right? And then from, getting access to the actual real world assets, there are a couple providers out there that have very well like pre-litigated tokenization, processes and stuff like that. So they do have very good legal base on their tokenized assets or digitized assets, which could be like a gateway to stop. Sorry, I got a dog here. Which could be a gateway to bringing on others, right? But if you take something that's already been very legally clarified, that relieves some of the DD and stuff on the SwissAssetDAO part. We can kind of like jump ahead there. So I think on that side, like the first step here, the legal framework part, being able to have a DAO that's recognized as a legal person that can engage in contracts. Once that's solidified, the next piece that we can see is that how do you engage the actual assets out there, which there could be some partnerships and stuff like that, or where these asset issuers came from, that would make that a faster process.
Yes, certainly. I think that's, one kind of picture we brought up in this sense is we definitely don't want to reinvent everything that's out there, and we just really want to build and focus on that bridge and enable things in a most efficient and legal way. What I also see is that a lot of tokenizers have not yet, they also want to earn something, but Of course, they have not focused always on efficiency. For example, you still have to on-ramp and off-ramp your US dollars or USDC into US dollars. And they charge, of course, for those transactions two-way and not little from when you come with a perspective of TradFi. So if you, from the TradFi perspective, you would, for such a transaction, you would expect zero. But of course, that's a business model of sometimes some tokenizer or stablecoin issues. So there are a few things that still need to be worked on in plumbing. But I also believe the kind of the ambition would be that we can offer a bit like an app store for RWA investments, that somebody can come and say, okay, well, I want this, plug in, subscribe almost, and send my own tokens, send my DAIs and whatever through, and I could just immediately get as much scale and investments. So once you have that in place, then your DAO treasury management, and that's not ours, but the one from maybe clients, becomes something very dynamic, and you can really start to optimize your treasury in terms of liquidity, but also in terms of diversification and risk reward objectives in a long term. Then you start to become almost like managing these assets in a portfolio basis. And I think that should be the ultimate goal. And how you then access these assets in the real world should be really lean and mean and efficient and a few clicks away.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Mike.
One question just
and
came up, maybe.
Go ahead.
From Ali, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Swiss Assets will be a tokenization platform onboarding digital assets and ultimately will make it way to secondary market, selling and buying token on underlying assets. We have to date not planned this. I think this would be yet a different revenue stream or part of business model. However, as soon as you do this, of course, if you're a second market, you're a market maker, or you need also the licenses possibly, depending how you do it. And yeah, I think we need to start somewhere. But if we at some point have a layer that you can distribute or exactly do a secondary market, then that could be interesting later down the road. But we first need to get the roads built before we then can have the fast trains.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. And yeah, I think also I wanted to just kind of touch upon that, is that there's a lot of opportunity in the process that Mike described, where SwissAssetDAO can provide its value, especially in the light of the expertise that Mike has, who is pioneer on the RWA side, and myself, that I ran a market making company, so the expertise on the liquidity side. And just to kind of open up everybody's mind, kind of how Mike was describing, that you come with your DAI and you directly subscribe to US Treasuries. For instance, there's an opportunity for SwissAssetDAO as a liquidity provider for that particular transaction, where we can actually generate revenue and generate a sustainable business model. So it's not necessarily within this whole process that we have to be the issuer or we have to be the secondary market, but there's a kind of a lot of steps that are, from bringing your DAI to a platform to actually investing and getting yield from, and as an example, US Treasuries, where we can find our niche and where you can find our unique selling proposition, giving the extensive experience from Mike from real world asset side and myself on the liquidity market making side. So just really want to flag that so that we kind of have an open understanding how this can go forward. I think then that's kind of slowly we are addressing everything that we had in mind today. Guys, I have nothing further actually to add, except the plea at the end for everyone who wants to be the founding member to express their interest. But guys, if you want to add something further to this, I think then we can slowly wrap it up. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I think we just take this thing apart one step at a time. I'm pretty keen on helping out in several areas where I can bring my mojo. And then also it's probably going to be a journey that unfolds as like the regs happen and as other assets are tokenized, and where you can effectively play in a safe area. definitely going to be part of our journey there. But what do you think, Mike?
Exactly, and that's I think also where your view of the world is going to be very critical. You are with your show and your research effectively scanning the landscape for very promising and scalable and sustainable RWA cases. And I think as they surface and they prove their validity, then we want to engage with them. We want to kind of almost feature them. We want to bring them onto to to this platform, and that's going to be critical, right? So building that app store almost will require exactly that.
Cool. And so how does someone express interest in being core team, and then how do we build a core team? Do we have any kind of funnel set up, like a Google form at least, or a membership form to where people can contribute, like what they want to do to be involved and stuff like that? Or you guys want me to get something going?
Yeah, I mean, definitely just to then now first make my plea for all of the people who would like to become founding members to express their interest by going on our website, or even they can directly DM us, and kind of will direct them how to express their interest. And then the goal is kind of to close that process on Sunday. And then within the founding member community, actually, to kind of source that talent and source that expertise and assign them in for the specific goals that we have in mind to make SwissAssetDAO a massive success story. So kind of this is the vision kind of that we are proposing, is that the members are actually the ones who are driving the success of SwissAssetDAO with in a sustainable fashion on a compensated basis as SwissAssetDAO grows and has funding and has revenues and clients and so on. So really the goal is actually kind of to close that process around the membership and then source the talent from the membership. And I think I very much appreciate your proposal. So let's do that. I think we can kind of mention what are the first few top. I mean, we already have a couple of work streams that are running, but then obviously we'll need support on the operations side. We'll need support, super strong side support on the finance side and the treasury side. This is absolutely key. So kind of we need to create that in startup language. It's called organizational chart. So kind of which are the key building blocks kind of for SwissAssetDAO MVP, and then kind of assign a stakeholder there and stakeholders there who would kind of support and contribute to the process. So this is kind of how I can accept your proposal to basically build an org chart for SwissAssetDAO in line with the goals that we want to achieve and kind of source the talent from the members. So
Definitely,
this is kind of how I would propose it, guys.
Cool. And then I'll help put that together. We can assign groups. Each group can have its own roadmap with some key deliveries, some deadlines, and we can start seeing like what'll happen and when.
Super. Awesome. Let's do that. I will also follow up. I have like the template org charts, for the deck, so I can ship it over to you. We can start and share it with everybody and kind of start seeing kind of what we need as an MVP minus.
Excellent. Right on.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Great.
So thanks to everyone for joining today. I have to say today we were a bit in a smaller format. So we did have community members joining us. I see 8 who made it until the end on LinkedIn. We had one lonely soul on LinkedIn and one lonely soul on YouTube. But that's how beginnings go. And really want to thanks everyone for joining today's call. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Brad, for the amazing support. It was really a pleasure. And I think the more the merrier. So hopefully next time we get even more people on board. And once again, plea and request for everybody who wants to become a founding member to submit there and register their interest by the end of this week, which tomorrow is Sunday. So please do that to Sunday. Then we can close the chapter and the story around the founding members. And then we can bring the membership framework to the founding members to vote on how we deal with members going forward. So thank you, everyone, for the amazing call today. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Brad. It was awesome. And, with this, I wrap up on my side. Yeah.
Thank you, Anton. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Awesome. Talk to you soon. See you guys. Okay. I'll end the stream.